there is going to be labeled arc. So what does labeled arcs are going to do? Labeled arc, as you see, a labeled arc is initiating from the class person and it is getting terminated at class member. So label arc is having labeled is A. So this labeled arcs would be containing attributes. So is A is attribute, uniform color is attribute, team is attribute, instance is attribute, has path is also attribute. Where it is initiating, it is a class, and when it is terminating, it is its value, attribute value. So for example, person is class. There is a labeled arc is A from class person to mammal. So the value of is A attribute is mammal. So person is A mammal. Here the value of is A attribute is mammal. Person is class, has part is attribute, and nose is a value. So nose, it is value of this attribute has part. PVIC is instance. Okay. Instance is attribute and value is person. PVIC, there is an attribute uniform color. Value of uniform color attribute is blue. PVIC, there is one attribute team. Value of this attribute team is Brooklyn Dodgers. Okay. Now, looking at this diagram, the next concept is intersection search. So, what if somebody asks you the question that just by looking at the semantic net, now tell me what is the connection between Brooklyn Dodgers and blue? See, here we are asking that what is the connection between these two concepts, blue and Brooklyn Dodgers? And that is why we have represented this concept using the semantic net, because we get to know what is the connection between the concepts. So here is a concept blue, here is a concept Brooklyn Dodgers. What is the connection between them? Brooklyn Dodgers is a team and that team's uniform color is blue. That is the connection. And this is known as intersection search. Okay. So semantic nets were used to find relationships among the objects by spreading activation out from each of the two nodes. PVRESI is spreading out the activation out of two nodes. One is blue, another one is Brooklyn Dodgers, and they are meeting at one common instance, PVRESI. So this, where the activation met, where the activation is meeting, this is known as intersection search. Clear about this, students? Anybody is having doubt? Anybody is having doubt in the basic concept of semantic net? Okay, no doubts. Then we'll move forward. How to represent the non-binary predicates? In front of you, the examples you are seeing, they are all of binary predicates. How? The predicate name is A, and there are two arguments. So binary means two. Instance, this is a predicate. There are two arguments. Team, it is a predicate, two arguments. Uniform color, again two arguments. So this all predicates are having two arguments. Then this is also binary and 0 or 1. So man markers, again maximum number of arguments, or you can say this is an unary predicate. Unary predicate, there is only a single argument over here. But what if you are met with a situation like this one here on the screen? Score, Cubs, Dodgers, and 5 hits. Score is a predicate and there are three arguments or three objects per argument. So representing a binary predicate was easy. What we did until now, we were representing a binary predicate. But what if you are given this statement? You are given that now represent non-binary predicate, more than two arguments. Here there is three arguments. In that case, what you do is create an object, or create an alias over here. That is helping to represent it in the semantic net. Okay. So you can represent this in a semantic net by creating a node to represent specific game and then relating each of the three pieces of information. In simple words, just create an object, just create an alias. So what here in figure 9.2 we did is that there is a node which is named game. We create its object G23. What is the score of over here? It is 5-3. Team 1, instead of home team, you can also write team 1. And instead of visiting team, you can also write, just a second, student. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, we'll continue with this. So we can create an object like this. Okay, if you are not aware with the information, see this is all about our English understanding. So if you are not at that time during the exam, it doesn't strike to me that I need to write visiting team, I need to write home team. Then at that time we can write over here team 1, team 2. That is also a valid representation in the semantic. I will consider it and you will be definitely given the marks. Okay. So you are creating, if this is also not striking you at that particular moment. Okay? So you are having a score, you are creating an object of score that is G23. Even if you are not creating node for game, that is also fine. You are having score, you are creating object of score, then there is a team 1 Cubs, there is team 2 Dodgers, and the score is 5-3. Even that is a valid representation of the semantic net. Okay. Now, sometimes you are given this kind of sentence like John gave the book to man. Okay. We here concentrate on the relation. Relation is gave. Objects John, book, man. Okay. When we convert English sentence into the what we can say logic, at that time what we used to do is just a second. here John gave the book to Mary. What we need to concentrate on this relation, that is gave. Objects, John, book, and Mary. We need to represent now this things that we have identified. So give or gave, that is the relation. We can create the object EV7, then John, Mary, and book. Here they have created object of book, that is VK23. But if you want to eliminate this node and just place book over here, then also it is completely fine. That is completely perfect semantic net. No need to create object for book, that is VK23. Okay. Here they have written agent, beneficiary. That is not needed. See, I could consider, I have understand it like this, that John landed book to Mary or Mary borrowed book from it. So instead of beneficiary, I would have written borrower, the one who is landing the book, landing the book. Okay, renting the book, that is also we can write. Okay, so that is all this thing. Okay. Now next thing is about making some important distinction. What if you want to represent few values and comparison in the semantic next? So John, okay, that is one object, attribute is height, and attribute value height is 72. Now you want to represent that John height is greater than Bill's height. So John attribute height, we are creating an object h1 greater than h2. Okay. Further, you can extend it that the value of h1, that is 72, and here you can write 70 or 50. So this is also a way to represent the height or comparisons, or you are making a distinction that this is greater than or less than. So that you can represent in the semantic map like this. Okay. And now there comes the concept of partition semantic net. Most of the students in exam confuse that for a given statement, what I should be representing, semantic net or partition semantic net. I would write semantic net. Now it's up to the students to decide that they have to represent using semantic net or partition semantic net. Now what actually happens over here? There is a minor difference between the semantic net and partition semantic net. In semantic net, we are representing with the help of, in semantic net, there are no quantities. Okay, in the sentence you are having no quantities. But in the partition semantic net, we are representing sentences which is having quantity. So look at the statement on the screen. There is a first statement, the dog bit the male cub. So the first statement I would represent using the semantic net, no quantity. And the second statement, there is a quantity. Every dog has bitten a male. So when in your English sentence you find there is a quantity, you represent that particular English statement with the help of partitioned semantic net. Because semantic nets are not able to represent the quantities over. So that is the representation in figure 9.4a. That is the semantic net. Okay. Dog, we created the object B. Bike, we created the object B. And mail carrier, we created the object N. It is not necessary that you create it like this. Okay. Not mandatory also that you create it like this. Okay. Sorry students for the disturbance. I'm busy with some of your seniors internship right now and placement. Okay, I just need to pick this one. सो फर्स्ट डायग्राम आपको ऐसे रिप्रेजेंट करना है तो भी ठीक है, नहीं करना, देयर आर मेनी वेज ऑफ रिप्रेजेंटेटिंग। मैं होती तो सिर्फ डॉग्स रखती, बाइट रखती और मेल करियर रखती, और इन डॉग, ओके, वहां से एक ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट कर देती डी, और फिर मेल करियर को और डॉग को कनेक्ट कर देती, ठीक है, यूजिंग बाइट, ठीक, या फिर एक ही ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करके बाइट का और डॉग और मेल करियर को कनेक्ट कर देती, डॉग का ऑब्जेक्ट भी क्रिएट नहीं करती, मेल करियर का भी ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट नहीं, सिर्फ एक ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करती, दैट इज बाइट, और वहां पे प्रेजेंट कर देती। बाइनरी प्रेडिकेट है, ओके, बाइनरी प्रेडिकेट, प्रेडिकेट का नाम बाइट है और दो आर्गुमेंट्स जो आती है, दो ऑब्जेक्ट्स जो आते हैं, रिलेशन, व्हाट इज द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन मेल करियर एंड डॉग, दैट इज बाइट। तो बाइट वो प्रेडिकेट नेम, दो आर्गुमेंट्स आते हैं डॉग एंड मेल करियर, सो ऑब्जेक्ट्स बनाने की या एलियास बनाने की जरूरत ही नहीं, तो मैं तो वैसे रिप्रेजेंट करती हूँ, ठीक है, वो मेरा अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, आपका, आपको मैंने समझाया कि आप ऐसे कर सकते हो, ठीक है। सेकेंड स्टेटमेंट, वहां पे बहुत सारे हमको प्रिकॉशंस रखने हैं कंपेयर टू द सिमेंटिक में, ओके। एवरी डॉग बिट, एवरी डॉग हैज बिटन अ मेल करियर। अब यहाँ पे हमें क्वांटिफाइबल स्टेटमेंट, क्वांटिफाइबल एक्सप्रेशन रिप्रेजेंट करना है। तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, ये सिस्टम बाउंड्री आप देख रहे हो एस ए, सिस्टम बाउंड्री शुड बी देयर इन पार्टीशन सिमेंटिक नेट, it is must to have a system boundary. Then there is general statements over here. See, this is the general statement, every dog has bitten a male cur. So this is a general statement, this statement belongs to a set that is general statement. So यहाँ पे if you are seeing this node GS, this GS represents set of general statements. We have created its object G. Now there is one labeled R which is having the universal quantifier. The labeled R is getting initiated from this G and getting terminated at B, object of dog. Why? Because this every quantity is for dog. So what is universally quantifiable? That is the object D. Okay. Now here there is the same as the previous semantic net, only this is one thing that is different, that is FORM form. This particular labeled act tells that this general statement is related to region S1 only. It is applicable to this region S1 only. So this general statement is made for this particular system boundary, that is S1, this particular area S1. The rest of the thing does not comes under this general state. Okay. Now this third 9.4 figure number C, it is representing this statement, every dog in a town has bitten the constable. So just a minor change from the second diagram B, that now the dog type is town dog. This is also, according to me, it is not a correct representation. I would be placing an is a in attribute over here. Okay, here between dog and town dogs, I will be placing is a operator or attribute over here. Now the last statement, figure 9.4 D, it is representing this statement, every dog has bitten every male carrier. Okay, so now quantities are for dog and male carrier, every dog and every male carrier. So you can see two universal quantifiers over here initiating from general statements G. So one is for dog and other is for male carrier. So the partition semantic nets, again it is, you can see two links are getting initiated from general statements. One is for dog, one is for male carrier. So every quantity is represented over here. And that is what is the use of partition semantic net. Any queries? So that I can move forward to the frames. See, semantic net has a drawback that it was not able to represent huge number of attributes, and inheritance was not clearly represented using the semantic net. For that, you see, semantic net was failing at representing is a attribute and instance attribute. These two important attributes, is a and instance, are very important attributes, and semantic net was not representing it clearly. Moreover, if there are huge number of attributes and its associated values, that was also not clearly represented by the semantic net. So then comes the frame concept of the frame. So what is a frame? It is a collection of attributes and associated values. Okay, you can call it as a frame. You can call it as a collection of attributes with associated values. You can call it as a class. You can call it as set. You can call it as instance or element of a class. This all things corresponds to frame. So if I call it as a frame, I call it as a class, I call it as a set, I call it as instance of class or element of class, all things correspond to the same thing, that means frames. Here in the example, you see there is a frame, its name is person. Besides this, I have written that you can call it as a frame also. I can say that here on the screen you are seeing a class, here on the screen you are seeing a set, its name is person. There is attribute is a, there is attribute cardinality, there is another attribute, there is a difference. Why there is asterisk over here? So the answer to this asterisk is means that each frame or class is these attributes which are represented by asterisk, they are that means that these attributes are to be inherited by each element of set. So each element of this particular set must be inheriting this attribute. So if there is person 1, person 2, person 3, person 4, we are creating 4 objects. Then all 4 objects must be having this property which is marked asterisk. So here, see, you can see in the example, there is a class adult male, or I can say there is a set adult male, or there is a frame adult male. 2 attributes are regular attributes, that is A and cardinality. The one that is with the asterisk, this means that every element of class adult male has to inherit this attribute which is height. Same for the ML baseball player. Okay, regular attributes are is A and cardinality. The rest of the attributes are marked asterisk. That means that each element of this class ML baseball player must inherit this attributes height, bats, batting average, team, uniform color. Okay. There is a regular class and there is a meta class. Meta class is a special class whose elements are class itself. See, this is a very similar concept to the one we have of object class in Java. Every class in Java is used to inherit that particular class object. The same thing happens over here. See, look at this diagram. ML baseball team is one class. Team is also one class, but they are subclasses of this parent class, which is named class. So here in frames, there is one basic or meta class frame, or frame which is named as class, whose attributes are instance, is a, and cardinal. That means each and every class you see there is a this attribute is inherited cardinality. You here in the also cardinal adult male also card whether if this cardinality is there. For any examples that I have mentioned over here, you would be able to see the card. Okay, so this is the meta class. That means its members or its elements are class itself. This is a meta class whose elements are class itself. It is having attributes. That is the one concept in play. Now, two more important attributes. One is mutually disjoint with, and other is covered by. Mutually disjoint with is that when two classes are having nothing in common. When two classes guarantees you that now there is nothing in common, at that particular time, we establish a relationship between those two classes with the attribute mutually disjoint. These two classes doesn't have anything in common. At that time, we use this attribute mutually disjoint with to establish a relation. Another thing is that is covered by. This is means union of all subclasses. Understand with this example that ML baseball player is the parent class. Its child classes are pitcher, catcher, fielder, American League, and National League. Now there is nothing common between a catcher and a fielder. There is nothing common between these two classes, American League and National League. So how to establish a relation? Besides, we need to tell that this all classes, pitcher, catcher, fielder, American League, National League, they are all subclasses of ML baseball player. So we represent in the frame like this, that ML baseball player, we use the attribute is covered by. With what is covered by three classes, that is pitcher, catcher, fielder, American League and National League. Then there is pitcher. Okay, we need to establish its relationship between catcher and fielder. We need to establish over here the relationship of this class pitcher with catcher and fielder. So we use the attribute mutually disjoint because there is nothing common attribute or common relationship. So we use this attribute to establish a relationship between this class pitcher and catcher and fielder. Same thing we have done with the catcher and fielder also. So is covered by union of all subclasses and mutually disjoint with when there is nothing common and we still want to establish the relation. That is one. Now still until now what we have represented, still it is known as weak slot. Poor representation of knowledge. Not much information still represented. What more information should be placed so that it could be called as a full-fledged object. Information like this. That see the classes to which the attribute can attach. For example, weight you can attach to the class which is having some physical object or physical existence. But can you attach weight attribute to a conceptual class? No, we cannot do that. Constraints on range, constraints, or if you want to put some range, still we don't have any attribute until now. Definition, description of class, default value of attribute we have not seen. Whether the value is attribute is single valued or multi-valued, true or false, inverse attribute of that attribute we are representing. We need to compute some value from inheritance. Okay, that is also rules of inheriting. Okay, parent-child link. Okay, that is also is needed. All these 8 problems that we are facing, that lacking, this all 8 things we are lacking until now to make our slot a full-fledged object. But now we can do that. How? We have these attributes. Okay, so these attributes are added. The first one is domain. To which domain this classes belong to? Range. Okay, Range should be between 100 to 200. Range constraint, driving license. Okay, our age could be from 1 to 100. But for driving license, there is a constraint, 18 to 65. Definition about the class. Default value. By default, 18 transfers through. What is the inheritance? What is the parent-child link? To compute, something you need to compute from the inheritance. Inverse, whether the attribute is single valued or not. So these attributes are added. And if you are adding these attributes, then now your slot becomes a full-fledged object. For example, there is a name of frame manager. It is instance of this particular slot. Okay, now it is better to call it as a slot, as now we are making it a frame. We are making it as a we are making modifications to our frame, and now it becomes slot, or you can say as a full-fledged object. So manager is instance of slot. Domain ML baseball team. Range here it is that it belongs to class person. Constraint that it must be having some experience as manager. There is no default value. Inverse attribute manager of whether this attribute is single valued, yes, true. Okay, so here are the examples. Okay. Uniform color, domain team player, range color set. Constraint, what is it should not be pink. Okay, visual salience, height, single valued, false. Okay, there could be multicolors in the uniform. Okay, that is how we represent more information or more knowledge through slots. Okay, this is how it is done. And by this, I am completing your chapter number 9 from Ellen Reach and Knight. Tomorrow, first lecture will be taken by me. Jaisal ma'am's lecture will be taken by me, and I'm going to teach you chapter 5 from your textbook Ellen Reach and Knight. So it is mandatory for you all to attend the first lecture with me. It will be in AI meeting. Okay. Thank you. Now, any queries, you can ask questions. Otherwise, I'll terminate the meeting.